Hey, Texas Values supporters. Welcome to In Case You Missed It. This is our Friday update of what happens in the Texas legislature by your Texas Values policy team. I'm Jonathan Covey. I'm the policy director for Texas Values, and I have Mary Elizabeth Castle, our director of government relations, and Megan Benton, our strategic policy associate, today. So first off, we did a midweek update on Wednesday. And we talked some about pro-life bills that were coming through the legislature and pro-family bills that were heard in the legislature. So this is a little bit of an update on that, and it'll be a little bit shortened. But if you remember, we talked about Senate Bill 1257 by Senator Brian Hughes. And this is a bill that we got to testify on that would require insurance companies to cover the inevitable harmful consequences of folks who went through gender transition treatments. Because what we've seen is that insurance companies, they're all on board with providing coverage on the front end to mutilate bodies, but not on the back end when it comes to people regretting their decisions and wanting to return to living within the reality of their sex. So that's not equitable and it's not ethical healthcare. And so SB 1257 requires that insurance companies cover people who would otherwise be unable to afford that kind of help. So we got to testify on that on Wednesday, and we mentioned that in our midweek update. And then yesterday, there were some pro-life bills that were heard in the Texas Senate, and one that we testified in favor of was Senate Bill 33. This is a bill to prohibit taxpayer funds going toward abortion-related expenses. So you may remember, some of you may remember anyway, back in 2019, we helped pass Senate Bill 22. This was a bill that was prohibiting taxpayer funds going towards abortion providers and abortion affiliates. Well, after we passed that, then the city of Austin and city of San Antonio and some other municipalities decided to try to exploit a loophole in the law and say, well, we're not going to provide money, taxpayer funds going towards directly to abortion providers. We're going to provide them to logistical support services or travel expenses for women who are seeking abortions. And so they would pay for things like hotels, airfare, childcare stipends, other things like that. And that's what's been going on. The city of Austin, in their most recent budget, they appropriated $400,000 to these kind of abortion related expenses, but not directly to abortion providers, sort of a way to circumvent the law. And it is circumventing the public policy of the state of Texas, which is that taxpayer funds shouldn't go to abortion. So SB 33 fixes that problem, and it will prohibit all those abortion related expenses. And we've been working on this for a long time, and we had the honor of being able to testify in favor of it in the Senate yesterday. So very exciting. I wanted to hand this over to Mary Elizabeth Castle, our Director of Government Relations, to talk a little bit more about some of the exciting things we've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was still a busy week for us in a lot of different areas. We started off the week with testifying in public ed about returning the power to the State Board of Education for instructional materials. And then, of course, Covey mentioned there were a series of pro-life and pro-family bills we talked to you about on Wednesday, and then a big hearing Thursday. But we're still doing the best we can to just communicate the urgency to the legislature of getting a law passed this session to protect women's privacy. That is a top priority for us and a top priority for so many of you because you are seeing your children experience this in school. So many of you remember the story of Round Rock ISD where the guy was in the girls' locker room. That was a story that blew up on social media last week, even though that happened several years ago. It came back around and got a lot of people's attention. But you've even seen a lot of this on social media happening in different areas. You see at Planet Fitness and many other places where men are allowed to go into women's private spaces. And we just feel like enough is enough. So if you want to get involved in this issue, please contact your legislator to let them know. We have 79 co-authors for HB 239. We can definitely have a lot more. So if your legislator is not signed on, regardless of what party they're in, please tell them to sign on and show their support for this bill. And also, we have a petition up on our website at txvaluesaction.org that you can sign. We have over 500, I think over 600 signatures now, but still shy of how many signatures we've had before on this issue. So we want you to voice your concern, voice your support of this legislation. So please sign that petition and share it. And we still have not had a hearing on this issue. While we've had a hearing on many great other issues, we still have not had a hearing in the Texas Senate nor the Texas House. So please contact your legislator to let them know that you want a hearing on this issue, because we only have a couple of days left in March. And before you know it, it'll be time to get those bills on the calendar and get them to the governor's desk. So we want to make sure we're within timelines, that we get it done this session. So please voice this. We have a lot of good graphics by leaders like Riley Gaines, Paula Scanlon. So share those if you're active on social media, or just whenever you're calling the offices or you're talking to people, especially your legislators, tell them that, these are top leaders in the Save Women's Sports, the Common Sense movement, who support this issue. So please support it, and just let your legislator know that the time is now to have a hearing on this issue.
Thanks, Mary Elizabeth. Yeah, and continue supporting us by staying up with the information that's going on at the Texas Capitol. We try to put out on a regular basis, but I want to go over to Megan real quick. Megan, you got an opportunity to share on a pro-life bill this week, and it was something that you actually had some personal experience in, had a personal story to share. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this week just flew by, but on Wednesday I was able to testify on Senate Bill 1233 by Senator Hancock in the Health and Human Services Committee. And this bill was actually on palliative care for preborn babies and infants that are tragically born with serious life-threatening conditions. And the purpose of the bill is to ensure that the doctors tell the mothers about all of the options available for care, so that they don't think that they're without options, because a lot of times that can happen where there's a tragic diagnosis and the doctors don't do a very good job explaining to the mother and the family the different care options that are available, the different passionate care options that are available for that infant. And so I was able to testify and tell a little bit of a personal story about something that happened to my family. And when my little brother was when my mother found out she was pregnant with my little brother, they thought he might have some conditions that were possibly life-threatening, and we weren't really given any options. And thankfully, I grew up in a pro-life family, and we weren't going to do anything to harm the baby or put the baby at risk. And when my little brother was born, he was perfectly healthy and had none of the conditions that the doctors were worried about. So I was able to share that story with the Senate committee, just to emphasize the point that sometimes the doctors are wrong, and if care options aren't given, then mothers are going to feel helpless, when in reality they may have a perfectly healthy baby. But regardless, healthy or not, that baby's life is still it's immeasurably worth. And it makes a huge difference that they get proper care. And so I think this bill is an incredible bill, and I really hope that that it'll pass out at the legislature this session.
Thank you, Megan. Yeah, it was very powerful testimony. And to Megan's credit and her example, when you have personal testimonies or personal examples that you can bring when you come out, maybe you follow one of our action alerts and you testify in favor of a bill, it really helps. And members are able to understand better what this means to you as a person. And it's a very effective method of testimony. But hey, guys, so we have a number of meetings and phone calls still coming up, even though it's Friday. We haven't wrapped up yet. So that closes out our Friday update so our team can continue to move on to other meetings things and get some more things done. And it looks like we may be back tomorrow. But remember that if you want to stay up with breaking news and information, text TX values to 797979. We also have an app on the App Store. And remember that our team is available for speaking requests as well. So you can contact our operations staff at our info@txvalues.org email address. Set something up if you want us to speak to your group. So that's how together we will continue making a difference for faith, family, and freedom in the state of Texas. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.